to another episode of Know Your Legacy. I'm your host, V, and today's guest is Lilian Garcia. Lilian served 15 years as WWE ring announcer and was the first female to announce the WrestleMania and the first Latina as well. After helping to shape the WWE to what it is today, she's now an announcer for the Professional Fighters League and has her own podcast, Chasing Glory, which has over 5 million downloads. Lilian, we've been trying to do this for a long time, so I'm so glad that you're finally
here. Yes. You know, it's been so long that now I've actually acquired another million. So it is now 6 million downloads for Chasing Glory.
That's amazing.
That's how long.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's amazing. Well, congrats on that, first of all. And congrats on the new position as well, for the professional.
Wow. Right? I didn't even see that one coming. Talk about it just coming out of nowhere. But it was really cool when they contacted me about being, you know, the new in-cage announcer is what it's called in the MMA, and being their new in-cage announcer. I'm like, you know, this could be great because I do miss giving those really big entrances to those athletes and being at ringside and watching these athletes just perform with, I mean, everything they have. And now the MMA, to me, it's just another chapter, and I can't wait to see what it brings.
Yeah, no, most definitely, and I want to get into that because obviously it's the thing that's buzzing right now for you. You know, you've got a lot of stuff going on with that. But I'm curious to know, obviously, for people who may not know you or may not know, you know, what you've done so far. What was it like growing up for you in Madrid? Because I know that's where kind of your journey started, right?
Yeah. You know, my dad was actually in the army, so I was American, but I grew up in Madrid because he worked for the American embassy there. He's Spanish, as far as my family is from Spain and from Puerto Rico. So we were there. I was there from 3 months old till I was 8 years old. And I loved it. I loved Madrid. There's a saying, from Madrid to heaven. And I'm telling you, there's just this real feeling. I mean, the siesta is a real thing in the afternoons, and just a way of life. There in mostly Europe is like this. You don't really live to work, you work to live. So there's a lot of time off. You can, I don't know anything about that now because I've adapted the American way. I will tell you that. But it was nice to go to restaurants and be immediately embraced. And even if they don't know you, the waiters, waitresses, all of them, like, hey, come on in, tapas. And, you know, obviously I was too young for the sangria, but now when I go back and visit, the sangria is a real thing. So it's a lot of fun in Spain.
What would you say is your I guess earliest memory from that time?
From growing up, I think the fact that we had this park outside in front of where we lived, and my sister and I would go out there after we got out of school. My parents gave us the opportunity and the choice whether we wanted to go to the American school or we wanted to go to the Spanish school. And my sister and I both said we wanted to go to the American school. And we didn't know. When I went to kindergarten, I didn't even know English. I had a little sign on my shirt that said all I could say was hello and goodbye in English. That was it. I would say that I've come a long ways from there. But it was scary. It was really scary. However, it was really cool. I'm glad that it actually was able to grow up with learning both languages. But the school, the Spanish school, was in front of us. So, and they had a park right in front of it. So we would actually get there before that school let out. And my sister and I would play around, and then the whole school would let out. And then we had friends there, and just playing in that, you know, park as a kid and getting to meet other kids and playing around with them. And then the sunflower seeds were always so big in Spain, and the little lady would sit there and sell it. Like, those memories are ingrained in me forever.
Yeah, I can imagine, because stuff that happens at that age is basically what, you know, programs you and stays with you for the rest of your life, right? And so it sounds like they were all good and happy memories for you at that time.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for Spain for me, I had no traumas. Even in school, my first boyfriend was in 3rd grade or 2nd grade or something like that. Like, I really, really liked this guy. So I remember it being a really happy childhood, happy time. The struggle for me was when I came to the United States, And things were different because let me just share this with you. So for some reason, in the brochures that they had of New York City, they had the Statue of Liberty as being white. So we came, when I was 8, we came to New York. That was our first stop. And I was so excited. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see the Statue of Liberty. Can't wait to see Times Square. Like all of these things that I had seen in the brochures, right? All of a sudden, during that time, Times Square was not a clean place. It was not good. There was a lot of drug addicts. There were a lot of prostitution. All of this was going on before it got cleaned up in what we see today. So my first imprint of Times Square, I remember, was like, whoa, there's like a lot of trash on the floor. And you would not see that in Spain. So that was, I remember that standing out. And then I remember that when we went to go see the Statue of Liberty, she was green. So I'm like, what is going on right now? Everything in the brochure is not happening. Like, so it was shock. It was a culture shock. So from that, we were just visiting New York, and then we went to Miami. That's where we were going to actually live. And all of a sudden, Miami, during that time, it was like in the 70s. During that time, that's when I think cocaine started hitting hard, like the
Scarface.
drugs. Yeah, Scarface, right? I'm not Scarface, but Narcos, like that's when from Cuba, like they were getting all the drugs and they were smuggling in through Miami to this country. And so it was not good times there at all, like during the streets. And I remember that they were telling my mother, you make sure you watch those kids. Don't let them play by themselves. So now the image of me, right, as a kid playing out in front of the park and in Spain, and my mom didn't have to watch us. It was absolutely fine. That was the contrary. Now, when we're in Miami, mom's watching us. She's with us, and this uneasy feeling. And I'm like, wait, what's going on right now? It's like this terror. Well, sure enough, the woman that was managing the whole complex. All of a sudden, there was all this ambulances, these cops, all of this activity at our place one morning. She had been stabbed multiple times, and that was it. My mom's like, we are out of here. We're out of here. And so she remembered that South Carolina, they had lived in Columbia before because my dad had been stationed in Fort Jackson before. And so she asked my dad, she's like, can you ask them to please transfer you to Fort Jackson instead? You've got a family, like this is not going to work. And so that's what he did. So he ended up getting transferred to Fort Jackson, and that's how we ended up in Columbia. It was a shock though, and then when I got to Columbia, all of a sudden the girls in the school are making fun of me because I'm wearing dresses to school. I'm not wearing jeans because that was not the norm in Spain. And they know that I speak Spanish. And the culture shock of it all, I wasn't accepted right away. And I know that I made things also worse on my end. I will take responsibility for that because I didn't have any problem making friends in Spain. All of a sudden, I'm trying to force the situation and wanted them to like me. And it's like, why don't you like me? And bring them into the guidance counselor and go, why don't you like me? Like, that's the worst thing you could do, V. That's the worst thing you could do.
So yeah, I was going to ask you about that because I know in the school situation it's vastly different to Madrid, right? So it took a while for
Yes.
you to get accustomed to it. How do I actually handle people and friends and like what is this? Like these guys and girls act a completely different way. So now looking back, obviously you've mastered that and you understand, people interactions, building
Yes.
relationships and reading people as well more than anything else,
Yes.
which is why, part of the reason why you've been successful. But if you were to look back and shed some light on maybe some of the things that you did wrong, some of the things that you would do today to build relationships for people who are listening and are in similar
Yeah.
sort of situations.
Well, one's definitely that you can't force someone to like you. You cannot. So the fact that I was trying to, I mean, and think about it. I'm probably about 9 years old, 10 years old when all this is happening. I'm not computing bullying at all. I don't understand it. It wasn't prevalent in Madrid. So I'm not comprehending the situation, and I'm thinking, is there something I've done? Right. So I was like, what have I done? So I would go into the guidance counselor. I told him, like, these girls are making fun of me, or they're not being nice to me, and I don't know what's going on, and can we bring them in so that I can have a one-on-one conversation with them and find out, again, what am I doing, right? Because that's the thing that I was thinking. It was me. So we would bring them in, and they would sit very quiet, and conversations really would go nowhere. And then what happened is that they would leave, and then it would be worse, because then they'd go tell all their friends, oh, can you believe Lilian, brought us into the guidance counselor and all of this. So it just made everything just completely worse. So I would say, definitely don't force anyone to like you. I think if people aren't connecting with you, then you have to just keep going and find people that do connect with you, with who you are. And it wasn't anything I was doing. It was just that I was different. It was just that they didn't understand, why I was wearing dresses, why I spoke Spanish, even though I spoke English too. But all of these different things that made me stand out, that they weren't comprehending, because in South Carolina, I guess there wasn't a lot of that, people coming in from, other countries. So I think that's the biggest lesson.
So what gives someone that likability factor? Because obviously you found it now. So what is it if you were to tell someone else that, look, I don't have that ability to do what you do, or to be as extroverted, or to be as confident? What would you say to those people?
Was remember to always be yourself and trust that it's enough. And that is from the fact that during that time when I was getting bullied, I was trying to change me to fit them. So I got lost as to who Lilian was. I started really taking a hit, and my self-confidence way down low. Um, I wanted to create this other person that people would like. And I feel like people can see right through that. It's never authentic. And so it never goes well. And then people can't identify with you because they can't connect with you, because you're really not being you. They don't know that you're not being you. They just know that you're not being someone that they can connect with. So I really feel like it is so, so important for everyone just to be yourself. And trust me, there are enough people in this world that if this person doesn't like who you are, it's okay. That's all right. It's not something bad on them. It just means that somebody else will connect with you. We're not all made to connect with each other. We have all different types of people, and that's the beautiful thing of this world, is all the diversity. But not everybody am I going to connect with. There's rocket scientists that could sit in a table and talk, and I'd be completely like, whoa, this is not my crowd. Great what you guys are doing, but this I can't even identify with, right? Well, that's the same thing. There's going to be people that you can identify with, but it's when you are genuine and when you are real and when you're yourself that the right people will, or your people will, connect with you.
See, what we sometimes forget is, even if we're being genuine and authentic, then and some people are not connecting with us the way we hoped for, the way we saw it in our head, or the way we wanted it to go, it's not us. It's because they're going through something mentally
Hey,
themselves. They're going through something in their life themselves, and we're not conscious enough to realize, actually, maybe it's not me. Maybe they're going through something right now, and that's becoming the filter for how they see me, if that makes sense.
right, absolutely. And I would even go beyond that and say it it doesn't even have to be that they're going through something. It just, you might not. Okay, everyone's got a flavor. And if you fit that, that's why I said the rocket scientists, I can't even say the word. See, the rockets, they might be the most amazing people in the world. All right. But they're not my flavor, because I can't identify with everything they talk about, and the numbers and the space and the this and the that. They have a whole different lingo, a whole different way that is not my people. You understand? So I think that it's important to understand that it's this perfect example of if you get into a relationship. Let's say I'm dating a guy. I really, really like this guy, but he's kind of standoffish. At first he seemed interested, but as it goes on, it's just not happening. And he starts, getting further and further away. I could be saying like, whoa, something's wrong with me. What did I do? What do I need to be for him to like me? And you can't. It's just that I don't have the qualities that he wants. That's it. It doesn't mean that I'm any less. It just means that I'm not his flavor. That's it. And I think people try to make it way more than that.
Yeah, people take it too personally, I guess, and get so involved in the situation rather than looking at it objectively, like you just said. But
Yeah.
so, what's your relationship with taking risks or seizing opportunities? Because I know that obviously the career that you've had so far isn't something that you planned. Because in school
Right.
and then a few years thereafter, you weren't actually planning, you weren't studying to become a host. You weren't studying to become an announcer. That isn't a thing.
Right.
So can you just shed some light on that part of the story? So, fast forward a few years from school, I guess that's when you went on your journey of, acting and those kind of days, because I know you were involved in singing. So you're always kind of in the entertainment world.
I've always been in the entertainment world, but definitely singing was my focus. And when I moved to New York, and that was with the pure intention of I'm making this singing career, like this has got to happen. When I went there and I was working with an investment firm just so that I could go ahead and make the ends meet while I was getting my ducks in a row, I started singing at a Spanish restaurant. I did that for about 2 years. And it was one of those Spanish restaurants where they had a stage and people could dance. And also it was kind of both Spanish restaurant with entertainment,
How old
which
were
was
you then?
great. That's right when I moved to New York. I don't even remember. I was in my early 20s. Um, but I went to, from that, a 14-piece orchestra. They saw me. And so they asked me to join them. And at the time I was like, yeah, I think the Spanish restaurant, I've done all I can do here. So it felt like the natural progression to go into that 14-piece orchestra, which was great because they played at the Plaza, St. Regis, like some of the really, really, really big places. So I did that. And then I was still at the investment firm though during the day. And I realized I got to make a move. I got to do something that's actually bigger, that can put me in line with what I really want to do. So let me go to this acting school, and maybe what I can do is voiceovers or television commercials or get into acting or something that then I can actually combine singing with, because I always loved acting as well. So I enrolled in Wiesbaden, and then from that, I ended up getting an agent. And then from the agent, he's the one that said, hey, there's an audition. And I did voiceovers, by the way. I did voiceovers. I did television commercials. And then he called me for the WWF. And at the time I was like, wait, the World Wildlife Fund? He's like, no, 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 World Wrestling Federation, darling. I'm like, wait, what? Yeah, so it was pretty wild to have that, where I had no idea what I was going to get into it. But I will say the best advice that he gave me, that I will pass this along, he said, go to the audition. You never know, but don't live with the what if. So I took his advice and I said, all right, I'm going to go. And he, like he said, he goes, maybe it's just even a practice of another audition. So I was like, okay. So as I went there, I remember though talking to God, and I said, let me do my best. I just want to do my best. I don't want to not get it because of something that I didn't do. And then if it's meant to be, God, make it obvious. If it's not meant to be, make it obvious. So from there, I went through the audition, and long story short, they ended up offering me the position, and they made it obvious because they said, we'd like to try you out for 2 to 3 months and you could quit at any time. Well, that was like, well, I've got nothing to lose. So when I showed up And it was August 23rd, 1999, Iowa State University. We were there, and when I showed up and I looked around, I was like, whoa, this is amazing. And I felt like I think I can actually get something and incorporate my music through this. I don't know why I felt that energy, and that's what ended up happening. Ended up singing within the show.
Yeah, that's amazing the way it all came about. But what was going through your head after that first audition? Did it actually go well?
The audition went great, and it was actually going to be for the Spanish. They had a Spanish show that was on WWE that they were doing. And so I did most of the audition all in Spanish, except for one part. I had to sell a roll of tape, and I won't go into it, but I had to sell a roll of tape for a minute, but I couldn't sell it as tape. So I had to quickly just think on my feet. I made bracelets, I made belts, I made all sorts of things. And they just needed to know if you could think on the fly because it was live TV. That tape, because of, oh, by the way, so the 6-month thing, come to find out, I think it was Univision. Univision had a girl all along, and they didn't let WWE know. So WWE had held all these auditions for nothing. So when they told me that, I was like, oh, okay, not meant to be, right? So it wasn't until 6 months later that they called me back. They had the show SmackDown that was starting, and they needed more people. Well, the guy who ran the original audition remembered that roll of tape clip that I did that in English. He forwarded that to the producer. The producer was like, bring her back in. So that's when they brought me back in. I did more auditioning, and that's when I started. My very first week was the very first SmackDown that ever aired. And you probably know, I mean, I got thrown into Monday Night Raw my very first day on the job as the ring announcer. And I was like, wait, the ring, what? How do you do this job? So I always say you got to take chances. And I took a huge one, and I almost ran, because finding out 20 minutes before we're going live that I couldn't even use cue cards was the most sickening feeling in my stomach. I didn't know how I was going to get through it. And it's wild because even going into MMA right now, yes, I know I can use cue cards, but I've been studying this, and I'm like, whoa, this is still a whole different lingo from WWE. It's a different, it's just a different animal. And I'm nervous as hell, and I'm not scared to say that I'm nervous. And I'm nervous though, because I care, because it matters to me, because I want to do my best, because I want to be perfect. And the thing that I say is I have to rewrite fear. Fear can hold us back so much. So what I've done is, it's presented as fear is false evidence appearing real. And I totally get that. I also think that fear is fake energy always robbing, because that's what it does. It just robs you of things that you want. So what I decided was to rewrite fear, what those letters stand for. And for me, I've rewritten it as to fierce, everyday, always ready. And there's different things that you can, my friend, when I shared that on my podcast, and I got to pull this up because he had a great one, Josiah Williams. He had a great one as he was listening to the podcast. Because I said, hey, rewrite it. Rewrite to all the listeners. I said, rewrite this FEAR to whatever moves you, whatever pushes you ahead. So he texts me, he goes, listening to the episode, and here's what I rewrote mine: fully equipped and ready. And I love that. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, that's good.
Right? Feeling encouraged, accepted, redeemed. I mean, these are all great. So I think it's just important to change the perspective on fear and make it work for you, whatever. So now I'm like, okay, fully equipped and ready. So that's what I'm getting, fully equipped and ready for my performance next Thursday. I call it a performance because it is, because I am, introducing these fighters, bigger than life characters. And I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my best. And that's all I can ever ask.
Do you still get butterflies? Because I know
Yes. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm scared.
But that's a good thing because it's showing you that you're growing, right? That's the relationship I tried to have with fear. Is
Yes.
if I feel that, it's like, oh crap, that's a opportunity to grow. Let's lean into it.
Yes. Lean into it. I love it. I love it. Robin Sharma has a great book. He's got amazing, great books. One of them is called A Leader Without a Title. And sure enough, in there, it talks about there's a skier in there, and he talks about how when he's skiing down these slopes and he's in fear of it, he ends up leaning more into the slope, leaning more into the fear. And I was like, man, and I'm a skier. So I was like, absolutely. Like, I think too, this is a big thing that I share in my talks when I give motivational. I don't like to call it motivational because I like to be more inspiring. You can only motivate somebody. I think that that's a misconception used, right? I can motivate you to get up, but that motivation will wear off after a while. But if I inspire you, then that keeps you up. So I call myself an inspirational speaker. Anyway, so the thing with that is, as I shared that, I lost my train of thought. So go ahead.
So we were talking. You were talking about. Oh, I was so into what you were saying, and
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
followed
yeah.
you right along. But we're talking about the relationship with fear, and you talk about Robin Sharma and
Yes.
the skier who leans into the
Yeah, it leans into the fear, but I was getting into, oh, I know what it was. So what I share in my inspirational speeches is I talk about how not every opportunity do you have to be prepared for. I think a lot of people are scared to take opportunities because they're like, oh no, I can't do that. I'm completely not prepared to do that. And had I had that mentality going into the WWE, I wouldn't have had a 15-year career there. I wouldn't be embarking right now into being the announcer for MMA. And even think about how I was able to incorporate my love of singing within that job. You know, singing, I still hold the record for singing the most times at WrestleMania. I've sang in Iraq, Afghanistan, singing after 9/11. And that brought me being able to sing for the New York Jets, for the Miami Dolphins, for the Green Bay Packers, for the Tennis Open. You know, I mean, a lot of basketball. So all of these opportunities led me because I stepped out of my comfort zone and I said, okay, I'm not prepared to do this job, but what did I do in the past that I learned from that I could actually bring in right now to this position? And that's what I always do when I'm right now preparing for the MMA. I'm like, okay, the things that I've learned from WWE, the things that I've learned from even my modeling school, how to stand, how to have, you know, posture and confidence and walk into a room and demand that comes from the classes that I had from modeling. And that's from when I was like 17 years old. What are the things that I learned when I was in the swim team? You know, what are the things that I learned when I was in radio? All of these things that I've learned, what are the things that I learned even being bullied, being, you know, not taking things personal, all of these things. What am I going to turn that, you know, and push that into this new job? Because I'm sure that even the fans at the MMA, I'm sure they're skeptical in a way, going, huh, this girl who is in WWE, can she really do this? And I've seen article after article as far as, wow, it's the big news, right? That I'm crossing over. And I'm sure people are going, can she do it? Can she do it? Can she do it? And trust me, I'm like, oh my God, I got to do it. But I got to lean into it. I got to lean into it. I can't let anybody, in what anybody says. I have a lot of great support, which is great. I have a lot of fans that are like, you got this, you got this. And when that's beautiful, I can't let that negative talk to me and rob this, right? I can't let that, as I just said, wow, I said the new thing with fear, it's always robbing. Oh my God, I forgot the first one. But yeah, I can't let that the fear of that rob me of this moment. And that's the thing that I tell people and share
Mo-
with.
what most people would think, that's crazy that
Fake.
you're sharing.
Fake energy always robbing. That's it.
Yeah.
Fake energy always robbing. I can't let that fake energy rob this.
Yeah. Yeah, no, most definitely. And it comes back to perception, right? If you think of it in that way, then that's how it's gonna consume you in a negative way. And if you let it consume you in a positive way, it'll also consume you in a positive. So it's however you want to think about it. But it's
Right.
crazy that you share that, because most people would think, including myself, that after 15 years of doing a solid job, basically, of a
Hmm.
similar in a similar fashion, you'd be able to just glide your way into it. But you're human, right? You're human. So that's what I want people
Yeah.
to hear, that you're going through exactly the same thing. Well, not exactly the same, but maybe similar sort of fears and anxieties that you had, going all the way back to, does it take you back to day one of
Oh God, yes. I literally was as I was preparing for this, I'm looking over all these notes. I'm looking at, and like I said, things it's similar but not similar. They're the and I can't even say a match. It's a bout. It's not a match. They're fighters. They're not wrestlers. So it's a different complete lingo. And even the names are some of them are harder to pronounce because they're from Brazil, they're from Russia, they're from, the weights will change constantly. It's not, and there's a lot more information given in MMA than there is in wrestling. That I've noticed. So, like I said, even though I have the cue cards, it's still not everything is written, and there's a certain flow and there's a certain cadence. And so I'm learning. It's almost like this. Ronda Rousey, MMA fighter, had to learn how to be a wrestler. She was training and she was like, whoa, like I'm having to retrain my brain. Can't use this, can't use this. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. It's not, even though it seems like it's the same, it's not. And those are bringing, like, my stomach is feeling those butterflies again, like the first night. And I'm sure that I'm ringside. I'm going to be like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, until the first word comes out of my mouth too. And then I feel, and this is what I have to visualize. This is the thing that I feel like is so important to do. It's okay to know that you're going to be nervous. It's natural. Embrace that because it means you care. It means you're alive. So it's okay to feel that. Prepare as much as you possibly can because that definitely is in your control. So prepare. It's just like if you're going into an exam, if you've prepared, you're walking into that exam a whole lot better than if you've been partying for a week and haven't studied and you're like, oh God. So there's that different feeling, right? But if you can prepare and you can then bring everything you know from your past and go, all right, breathe into this, all of that, and then just be like, let's go have fun. And I think at the end of the day, when you take that mentality of let's go have fun, it relaxes you into taking all of that knowledge of everything you've studied, and now boom, let's do it, but let's do it with some fun energy. And that I feel, and that's what I'm envisioning. I'm envisioning walking in there and smiling and being like, ooh, this girl's back.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I found with everyone that I've spoken to who's, I guess, performing at a high level, is they'll see it in their mind before they see it outside. You have to, well, I was talking on a podcast the other day about wealth. This individual, well, her name is Patrice Washington for people who know her. And she's known as America's money maven, right? So she talks all about wealth and personal finance and stuff. And in our conversation, it came out that wealth starts internally. And then we're like, well,
Mhm.
everything starts internally. The way that you see
Right.
yourself, the way that you feel, the way that you want to build relationships, the way that you see other people perceiving you. It's how you see it for yourself first, and then it will show on the external. So I guess that's the tactic that you're using to trick
Yeah.
yourself into thinking, I've done it already. I've smashed the job.
Yeah, you have to. It's you know what it's tricking? It's tricking the negative talk. Because we all have the negative talk. You have to keep bombarding that negative talk with good talk. You have to. It's almost the same thing as if you were to listen to the news all day. trust me, by the end of the day, you're worn out. You think the world's going to end. You're not happy. You're irritated. Um, all of these emotions that do not serve you, which is why I don't even watch the news. I just don't. I don't even want to, like, unless the world is ending, unless I need to know that I need to go from point A to point B to get saved. I just don't want to know anymore, because it was bringing so much negativity to my life. So now I am all about feeding myself, whether it's a great podcast, whether it's great music, whether it's a great show that will empower me. That's all I want to feed my soul. And so that's the thing too, is that I will continuously feed myself that you got this, you've done this, you can do this. Just keep studying, keep grinding. By the way, this is another tip. Take everything little by little. For example, that night, I'm not going to be focusing on the 10 matches that I have. I'm like, okay, what do I have to say right now, right here for the beginning of this bout? You notice how I said matches too, right? Remember, I got to flip it. That's what I mean. You got to flip it. So what do I have to focus on this bout? And then once that's done, what do I have to focus on the end to say at the end of this bout? All right, what do I have to focus now at the beginning of this bout, the second bout? So that's all. Just take it step by step. It's like somebody looking and saying, oh my God, I got 200 pounds to lose. No, you have 1 pound to lose. When you've lost that 1 pound, you move on to the next pound and then to the next pound. You have to just really break it down like that in order to not get overwhelmed.
I love that you touched on that, because I've heard you say before as well that your relationship with the journey has changed, especially your own journey, in terms of being able to let go and relax yourself into it instead of trying to control, like, every day, every
Yes.
month, every moment, every experience, every opportunity. It's like it's not packaged the way that you might see, and then we stress ourselves out. And I was going to say this earlier, actually, and I forgot, but the singing and the acting and all that sort of stuff that you were hoping to do, it was all there for you. Now that you have the benefit of hindsight, it was all there for you. It was just packaged in a completely different way. So you're like, I don't know, this doesn't seem like a singing career, but I'm going to do it anyway, with a bit of a push behind you. And it turned out that actually that opened up the opportunity for you to do everything.
It's crazy, right? And I did struggle that for a while. I was like, wow, this did not look like Katy Perry, did not look like Lady Gaga, and I struggled with that, and I wasn't appreciating. And then I went, wait, I've been able to do a lot. I've traveled the world in just a different way, because I always wanted to travel the world. Well, I traveled the world with WWE. I also would not have gotten that opportunity to sing after 9/11. And when I thought about that, I went, wow, that was an incredible opportunity that I got to try to bring the nation together. Being the first person to sing the national anthem in a live forum like that, having all the superstars lined up, having everybody that in the arena was hurting so bad and needed that. And my voice was the one that was chosen to bring the country together. I mean, that's huge. And so I had to stop myself and go, no, it didn't look like you were doing a performance every night like Gaga or Katie or whatever, but it's looked exactly the way it's supposed to be for you. And what's so great is right after the PFL, the very next week, I'm actually going to be hosting at Powerful You. It's going to be the 17th through the 19th, which is incredible. I'm going to be speaking at the event as well here in LA. And then I'm only going to share this with you, but I'm going to be singing at the event. So I wrote a song for the event, for not really the event, but for the whole feel of it. And I wrote a song, and I've got someone else that's going to perform with me. And I'm very excited about that. So yeah, I'm still incorporating my singing, just making it look different. And now I'm so good with it.
It's all of that is just, it began from you getting a platform from WWE, and then that built your name, and then from there everything else was hiding right behind it. And
Yeah,
that's
but I would backtrack because I think it definitely began from all the different things that I put myself in, or my mom put me in, because that led me to it, right? I think it began from from going to college was great because college, I'm not saying that everybody needs to go to college, but even in high school, like it will teach you how to handle and how to juggle so many different things at the same time. So, you've got 6 courses. So you've got 6 different subjects that you've got to learn, 6 different exams, 6 different, so you're juggling that. You're juggling a full-time job. You're juggling being with your friends, having some kind of balance. All of that teaches you. And so college taught me a lot, like a lot. For me, it was great. Then, of course, being in radio, that taught me because then I would host events for the radio station. So all of those things, then when WWE called me, I had some kind of experience that I could then tap in. Modeling school, whether it's dance, whether it's singing lessons, all of these things. I think it's important to focus that. Don't just wait for the opportunity, the big opportunity to come. You've got to do things along the way that will then prepare you for that. And again, it's not like you have to be 100% ready to say yes, but all of these things that you've been doing to prepare will make it a whole lot easier for you to be successful at it.
From you just saying that, what I would say is that one, everything that you're going through, or that you've gone through, but anyone that's listening, anything that they're going through right now is helping them to become just about ready for that
Yes.
opportunity. So they don't have to be 100%, but everything you've gone through makes you just about ready to pull it off, and then
Yeah.
the momentum keeps building. So again, it comes back to just changing perspective. But yeah, I just
And
want to get.
that's
Yeah, go on. No, go on.
I was just going to say that's one thing I love about Powerful You, because Powerful You is all about perspective. It is so focused on perspective because you can tell somebody grind, work hard, discipline, all of this. But let me tell you something. If somebody at the core of their soul does not feel worthy or has just hung on to things that have happened to them in the past and haven't gone through that and gotten, to change the story, change the perspective, change the narrative, they're not going to be able to grind and work hard and make an impact. They're just not going to. So what I love about Powerful You is that it's different in that it works on what is really holding you back. Let's get on the core of what's your story. And that's what I'm all about. Like, well, that's why I signed on to host and to speak at this event. And it's so different than some of the other, motivational platforms out there, because the owners are incredible. They're sharing some crazy stories that they've been through in their own journeys and their own lives. And if these people have been able to turn their life completely around, then everyone can. And by the way, I want to let anybody know, especially if you're in the LA area, to definitely, don't lose this opportunity, because what's so beautiful about these people is they're self-funding the whole thing. And they've made it, they want to make it accessible to everyone. So that's why they even have scholarship tickets for $25 for the entire 3 days. That's unheard of. You got 30 plus speakers that are going to up there. And these speakers are speakers that you would usually have to pay thousands of dollars to see. And they're making the base level ticket is $249 for all 3 days. And then those scholarship tickets for $25. So if anyone's interested, I say it because it was life transforming when I went in November. And I went just as somebody saying, hey, my friend saying, you got to go to this. I went, okay. So I got myself to Utah and I went. I mean, transforming. So you go to powerful-u, the letter u.com.
Yeah, it definitely is, because I know a few of the speakers that that spoke at the last one and will be speaking again here. And I think I'm not sure if you know Amberly Largo.
Oh, yeah. I love her.
She spoke
She's
at the last
great.
one. She's an
Yes.
amazing friend of mine. It's been amazing to see her
Oh, okay.
grow.
So she spoke very like a short, like they just gave her, because she was just getting into it, right? So they gave her like 10, 15 minutes. And then from now, she's actually going to be one of the speakers at the event here in LA, giving a full-blown speech. And her story is incredible. So it's
Yes. Yeah.
so great, because if you're feeling alone, like if you're going through things in your life that you go, wow, I'm the only one that's going through this. No one else, everyone on Instagram looks like they have a perfect life. Just know that's a filtered life. Um, that's not real life. But if you're feeling alone, That's why you really need to get in there more than ever, because you will be surrounded by people that are sharing their stories, that are saying, look, this is what happened to me, and this is how I got through it. And it just gives you hope, so much hope, and a community. That's what Powerful You is creating, as a community.
No, most definitely, and it's been amazing to see her grow as well. She did a TEDx talk recently, and it's one thing social media is good for. If people are documenting it the right way, it's just to see people's journey of their oldest post to what they're doing now, and it's
Yes.
it's 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 crazy. But I wish you the best of luck for that. Just to get
Thank
into
you.
the last few questions, then, if you had a microphone and the whole world could hear you, well, you've kind of done that already. But if you had a microphone right now and the whole world could hear you, what was the one message that you would share?
I would say to go out there and just always live with much peace, love, and passion. I think if you have peace, love, and passion, you have everything,
Mm,
and it
yeah.
will bring you everything. Love will bring you a relationship that is great for you. Passion will bring you the job, the opportunity that you're passionate about, something that you really want to share with the world. And peace, man, who doesn't want peace in their life? That brings you balance. I think when you have all those three ingredients, you have, a cocktail of happiness. And I think that above all, that's what we're all seeking, is just to be happy. So yeah,
No, I
much
love
peace, love, and passion.
definitely. I love that. And just to wrap up with the last question, when all is said and done, what's the legacy you want to leave behind?
I want to know that I touched as many lives as possible, with putting a smile on their face, with giving them hope, with bringing a product to them. When I say product, I mean like a show, anything that, saved them. And the letters that I've gotten from people that have even said that Chasing Glory is saving their lives, like they were contemplating suicide, yet they heard the stories of some of my guests, or something that I said that has kept them here. That means everything to me. So it's a legacy of making a huge impact and entertaining, but being more than just an entertainer, and just really resonating with people's hearts.
And isn't it amazing to see that all of that started because you've already started doing all of that stuff, and
Yeah.
it all started because you were courageous enough to seize those opportunities many years ago.
I tell people all the time, get out of your own way. Get out of your own head. Get out of your own way. You can do more than you think you can do. And it's okay. Again, it's okay to be nervous. And there's times that I'll even cry because I'll get so scared or terrified. But then I go, okay, done. Now let's go. So yes, I want, that's exactly why I'm on your podcast. That's exactly why I speak at these events. It's like I want people to get their chains off of them so that they can see what is possible. I've done that myself through my own thinking process. Luckily, my support system around me. I think it's so important to have a good support system around you. If you have those negative talkers that say you can't do that, get rid of them. I'm not kidding. Even if they're family, you got to just stay away, because they're robbing you of the life. And people, we only got one life. They're robbing you of the life that you not only just deserve, because I think it's more than deserve, the life that you can earn. I think everything is earned. So go out there and earn the life that you want.
Amazing. It's a great message to finish on. And if people want to follow you and find out more about you, and to see your new chapter, where can they do
Yeah.
that?
They can follow me at Lilian Garcia on Instagram and Twitter. And Lilian is spelt with one L in the middle. And also on Facebook, it's Lilian Garcia official fan page. And they can follow the show at Chasing Glory Podcast on Instagram.
Amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time, Lily.
Thank you.
And we will definitely have to do a round two once you settle in from next week.
Yes, that'd be great.